All right, today we're going to be working with volume. This is our last lesson in Unit 8. And as we go over these formulas, you need to commit them to memory because you will not be able to use these formulas. Like you won't have a paper with the formulas. You have to have them memorized for your test. So we have volume is the capacity for the amount an object can hold. So volume tells us how much something can hold. So letters that we're going to see in our formula. A V represents volume. You'll notice that this is a capital B. That means that they've already found the area of the base. In other words, they've already found the area of the circle, because everything we're going to be working with today has circles in it. H would be the height of our shape. D is diameter, and R is radius. And your diameter, if you remember, going back to 7th grade, your diameter is all the way across. Your radius is only halfway across. The other thing you need to know, and this is not in your notes, but a hemisphere you find your answer and then divide it by 2. So divide your answer by 2, because it's only, if you think of like a northern and a southern hemisphere, if you're looking at a globe, the equator cuts our globe or our world in half. So you have a top half and a bottom half. Those are called hemispheres. So divide answer by 2. All right. So last year you guys did not work with circles. You only worked with, let me rephrase that. You did work with circles. You had a whole unit about circles. Area of circles, circumference of circles, diameters, radiuses. You had a whole thing on circles last year. What you didn't have is 3-dimensional shapes that had a circle on there. You guys did like square pyramids, and you did triangular pyramids, and you did cubes and rectangular prisms, but you did not do anything that had circles on them. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. So define the volume of a cylinder. Our volume is going to equal pi times radius squared times our height. And you can put the whole thing in your calculator, and you are going to use the pi button. So it'd be pi times radius squared times height. And again, our radius is here, our height is here. Your height is not going to be inside your circle. Sometimes these will be laid sideways, like it will look like this. And I know I'm a really good drawer. It'll look like this. And this will say like 3 right here. And a bunch of kids will say, oh, so the height's 6. No, this is your circle. So that's, your circle is always inside your radius is always inside your circle. So if you want to put a little thing here, radius is always inside the circle, then you don't mix those two up. The only difference between a cylinder and a cone, it's the exact same formula with one exception. So you're still going to do pi, you're still going to do radius squared, and you're still going to do the height. We're going to multiply those things together. The difference is that if these cylinders and cones have the same base, like the same area of the base, it's only 1/3. So we're going to divide this by 3. So you're going to do exactly like normal, but divide it by 3 because it's 1/3 of this. This cone is 1/3 of that. And our last one is the sphere. So we're going to do, and you'll notice this one does not have a base because no matter where I put it, it's going to roll. There's no flat surface on this. So volume for this is 4 times pi times radius cubed. This is the only one that has a radius of cubed. And then we're going to divide it by 3. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We have cylinders, cones, and we have spheres that we're going to be looking at. So there's 2 things that we need to find on cones and spheres. Cones and cylinders, and those are the height and the radius. Remember, my radius is always attached inside that circle. So this is my radius. This is my height. Radius is inside the circle. This is where I'm saying a bunch of you would say that this is your height, but this is still my height because it's connecting my bases together. So then my formula says to do volume equals pi times radius squared times my height. Whoops, I started writing that in. So I'm going to replace pi with pi. That's not going to change. My radius is 6, so it'll be 6 squared, and my height is 4. You can put the whole thing in the calculator. So if we were to do this, let's see here. Let me get to my calculator. If we were to do this, and you can just put the whole thing in your calculator as soon as I can find mine. Maybe my kids deleted it. I don't know. Or maybe you're watching me and you can see it, but I can't. Where the heck is it? I really don't know. It's usually right there. Oh wait, there's a third page. I play lots of games. Actually, I don't play any of those. I don't know where my calculator. Oh, nope, that's not it. And I don't see. It's usually right there. Okay, so you're just going to put the whole thing in your calculator, making sure that you use the pi button. So we're going to do pi times radius squared. So pi times 6 squared times 4. And your calculator is going to come out with 144 pi. So you'll notice that they've left this. This is called leaving it in terms of pi. You don't want it in terms of pi. Most times they'll tell you to the round to the nearest tenth. And so we're going to hit our conversion key and get 452.4. 452.4. And since it's volume, it's in cubic inches because we're looking at all 3 dimensions. All right, this one, volume equals pi times radius squared times height. Pi stays pi. My radius is 1.5, so 1.5 squared. And my height is 4. Again, you can put the whole thing in the calculator. So pi times 1.5 squared times 4. And you'll notice this one does not come out in terms of pi. It just gives you the answer. So we would round it to 28.3 and yards cubed. So cubic yards because we're looking at 3-dimensional. All right, our last one says the area of the base of a cylinder is 150 square inches. So they've already given us the area of the base. So normally to find the area of the base, we do pi times radius squared. That's how you find the area of a circle. That's going clear back to last year. So this equals my base. So in our formula where it says volume equals pi times radius squared times height, they've told me that this pi and radius squared times together is 150. They've told me that. Now I need to times it by my height and get my volume, which is 1050. So now you're solving equations, which we've been doing for months now. So get h alone. So right now h is being multiplied by 150, so we divide both of them by 150, and you would get your height would have to be 7 inches. All right, our next one, we're going to be doing the same formula, except then we're going to divide by 3. The problem with these, we need 2 things. We need our radius and our height. Your radius is always inside the circle. So these are my heights. But my radius here, you'll notice that that says D. To get the radius, I need to divide by 2, so radius equals 11. On this case, it already has my radius, which is 7. So I do pi times radius squared times my height divided by 3. Now this one you have to be careful when you put it in, because if you put it in just like this, you could do it as a fraction key. So you'd hit the fraction key and do pi times radius squared, which is 11 squared, times 10 all over 3. And again, it's going to come out with in terms of pi, so just convert it, and we would get 1267.1. And we're in centimeters, so this would be cubic centimeters. All right, same thing here. You're going to do pi times radius squared, which is 7 squared, times my height, divided by 3. All right, and then the last one, number 3 says, a cone has a volume of 942 inches. So my volume is 942 inches. And a height of 9 inches. So I have pi. I do not know my radius, but I know my height is 9. And it wants you to solve for that. So first thing we need to do is multiply both sides by 3. Because if I multiply this by 3, that will cancel out, become 1. And then I'm going to multiply this side by 3. And so we end up with 2, 8, 2, 6 equals pi times radius squared times 9. Now from here, we can combine these like terms, or you can divide by 9 and then divide by pi. It does not matter. So I'm going to start and I'm going to do 2, 8, 2, 6, and I'm going to divide that by 9. When I divide by 9, I get 314 equals pi times radius squared. So now I'm going to take 314, divide it by pi, because my whole goal is to get that r alone. And you'll get 99.9493, da 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 da. This is where, remember, everything has an opposite. Adding has subtracting. Squaring has square rooting. So I'm going to hit second x squared. And then I want to pull that entire answer. So I'm going to hit second again. And this time I'm going to hit answer. Which is the little negative sign. And so inside your box, if you've done what I've said, it's going to look like this. Almost looks like it says Vans. And you hit enter, and it will come out 9.997. Or if you wanted, you could round it to 10. So your radius is about 10 if you wanted to round it. All right, our next one, again, this one we only need one thing, which is our radius. So this is my diameter. So I need to do 12 divided by 2, which is 6. This is my radius. This is my radius. So I do 4 times pi times radius cubed. Do not forget this is cubed. And then we divide it by 3. So I have 4 times pi times radius cubed divided by 3. On this one, I have 4 times radius cubed times pi. I put that backward, but it doesn't matter. That will come out the same, divided by 3. And then our last one, you'll notice they've left this in terms of pi. I have 288 pi equals, it tells me this is your volume. And that equals 4/3. So 4 times pi times radius cubed. So you'll notice a couple things. Both of these have pi. So if I divide pi by pi, I'm going to get 1. So that's going to leave you with this, because those pi's will cancel out when I divide. So now, right now I'm timesing, so the opposite will be dividing. And then to undo a cubed root, we need to hit 3, second, and then your caret key, and put in whatever you get when you divide 288 by 4/3, then you'll put that in.